Hey yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your big bro Danny Bays up in the tube, and let's get tuned in. Back with another one, man. Back with another one. Yeah, man. When Mzansi get active, we get reactive as always. Um, a while back, I saw a video of Penuel talking to this beautiful lady. I think Noxolo Mhlongo. Yeah, I saw this video and I thought, it's a very interesting one because it I could relate a bit to it based on the dynamics that I've been through. Um, I like the way she expresses herself, and I agree a lot with a lot of takes that she has on issues, uh, with regards to relationship. But then there's this one issue that puzzled me, which is the ability between male and female to communicate about issues, agree on issues, so that we can be able to agree, talk together, agree, and then find solutions that are going to help us both. I felt a bit that maybe the conversation is a bit one sided. What do I mean by that? Is it's like we're not hearing each other. You know, what's our intention? Are we trying to build healthy relationships so that we can get along as males and females? All the societal ills that we have, to be able to get rid of them and then have better relationships together? Or is it a matter of one sex blaming the other? So I thought, yeah, it got me thinking a bit. So I thought, let me unpack this one so that we can check it out and get reactive. Let's go.
Didn't know, but I'd realized later that it was quite polarizing. And you were like, indoda engakwazi ukuhlaba i-WhatsApp, and you're like, way.
Yeah.
You still stick by that? Or maybe the trending clips, you're like, hey, maybe I was a bit too harsh. If a guy can't slaughter, it's still okay. It's fun.
I prefaced that by saying, Nguti, everybody's
Got their own preference?
got their own preferences. And for me personally, I don't see value in having a man who is not culturally principled and can't do certain things.
But people still caught feelings.
They can. I mean, people are allowed to catch feelings.
Did you see the clip?
Yeah, I saw it.
Read any of the comments? Because it was posted in different places besides
Yes.
my platform.
Yes, I read the
No
comments.
comments came out to be like, oh, shame. Can she?
People were like, not in 2025, girl.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Not in 2025, girl. Why should a man slaughter in 2025? Valid responses. She used a very interesting word. She said cultured. Cultured meaning a man that's able to relate to her culture and the way she was brought up. I think it's a very important take, and this is why I would agree with her to a certain extent. And I'm using my culture or our way of doing things as an example. In situations where at home there would be a funeral, other situation there'll be an unveiling. Those are traditional things that we normally do. In instances where there would be a birthday party, especially the certain things that we have to do as a collective so that we achieve the goal of the ceremony at place. One important thing is the ability of the people that are involved in the ceremony to execute certain tasks and responsibilities. So with other families, slaughtering is crucial. We should be able to slaughter an animal and then eat the meat, and then some of it, maybe if it's a family ritual where you have to bury maybe some of the parts and all those things, especially when it's spiritual. Your ability to understand and perform a certain role will put you far ahead than people who are unable to do anything. And that's what, for a man, leadership is all about. I encountered an instance where we had to slaughter a goat. Mind you, the way I grew up, I don't know how to slaughter a goat. But one thing I realized that differentiated the men with the whole ceremony is there's men who know how to do it, and they were just there performing the task. And then on the other side, there's men who don't know how to do it, and they were just sitting on the side folding their hands. And then there's men who don't know how to do it, but are interested and they are willing to learn. See, that makes a huge difference. So your interest and your ability to learn, even though you don't know how to do it, is very crucial, because by you partaking in a process of slaughtering and learning sets you apart from a whole lot of men, and that in itself shows indoda amongst the others. When we're performing when we're slaughtering, I remember the uncle who was slaughtering was very rude, because he's used to it, and his father's like bamba bambala, do this, hey manongazo, the aggression, and because he knows how to do things, the aggression in how he was conducting the whole process. And I was like, yo, uncle is very rude, but I understand, because in his mind he's like, how do you guys not know this? This is what we do. This is how you should do things. And he wants to get it quick and done. But when you're just there struggling, you don't know how to hold the legs and, spread it apart so that we can be able to take off the skin and all those things. But what sets you apart is the ability to hold whatever. When you're given instruction and they say do this, and then you do it, and you do it to the best of your abilities, that's what makes a man. And I've noticed that that's also attractive to a whole lot of females. You need to be hands-on. You need to assume a leadership position, perform the task, get that task completed. I think that's what she means when she says a man needs to be cultured. In their culture, play an active role. In other cultures, if you don't know, learn so that you can play an active role. Your ability to play an active role will set you apart from a whole lot of other men, and that gives you the choosing power. You'll be able to be chosen because you will stand out. That's a very crucial point. So I get her point, and I agree with her to a certain extent.
Women.
Mostly men were like, where are you going to find a man who can slaughter in 2025? Some men were like, absolutely yes. Some women were like, yeah, bo, and others were like, that's just weird. But that's my preference.
Materials.
That's my.
You don't want to add anything to your definition of high value men? Since our last chat, I don't remember our criteria, but I remember speaking about high value women, and we kind of had different views. And I spoke mostly about purity and respect and submission,
which I still think is fluff, but
fluff.
Yes.
What's fluff?
That's what men value.
Oh,
I find it to be a fluffy response.
Versus a woman who gets things done or something. No.
I'm saying I still stand by the fact that a woman's value, society places beauty as value. Even men do, even though they're in denial about it.
No, what I said last time was it's like the interview.
Yeah.
You get the interview, but then after that, the guy needs to see if you have some level of purity. So low body count or whatever that means. And you're respectful and you can submit. Like, I feel like a man around you. It's one thing to be pretty hot, beautiful, whatever, but if you're disrespectful, if everyone in the village has seen your goodies, and if you don't know how to respect me, then what the hell are we doing? So then guys will step. Of course they want to smash, but they pass. They smash and hit and run. They smash and pass.
And I think that's the issue. And that's the very reason why I believe that men place the value of women as beauty. That's what matters to them, because
she's a man is explaining to her what men would consider a high value woman to them, like what attracts men. And then her response is that that's fluff. Okay, we can get into the discussion about what those qualities are that men require from a woman. But the response, I'm looking at the response where she says, that's fluff. So who is supposed to better tell her what is it that men prefer and how men choose their mating partners? Who better to do that? Should it be a man? Should it be a woman? The elderly. Has she asked maybe uncles, granddads that have been married for years as to what is it that men value in a woman? And should the elderly person answer maybe along the same lines as Panuel, will she still call it fluff? And the fact that it is fluff, where does that come from? Like, why do you think it's fluff? Those are the questions that I ask myself when I listen to this conversation. Because my opinion is that Penuel has spoken to guys enough to be able to have this, and is speaking from a position where he's engaged enough to say, hey man, this is what we've seen. This is how we as men talk, and this is what we want. This is what we prefer. And then a person on the receiving side of this information is like, that's fluff. So basically, you trying to look down upon an ordinary man's mating strategy, dispute it, and look down upon it. Now the question that I ask is, if you feel that is fluff, or maybe you feel that he's not giving you an understandable answer, why don't you ask further questions like, tell me more, tell me more, I want to know. Maybe say, I feel that is fluff, but please explain more. Or maybe take it upon yourself, if it's a topic of interest, to try and ask other men if they agree with him, so that maybe you understand a male's mating strategy, because we're not going to be the same. These are the questions that I ask myself. But hey, let's listen more. But she calls it fluff, and she's downplaying the explanation that Panuel is coming with. When one thing that attracts men is beauty. Beauty attracts. Whatever you see with your eyes would attract you. That's the first impression. Beauty attracts. And then from there, the next step after you identify the beauty is to make a move to be able to engage. After engaging with the beauty now, you would want the next level. But the only way you would want the next level is if there's a certain threshold, or there's a certain analysis that you've done, and you're like, okay, she passed the first stage, and now you can go to the next stage. That's the mating strategy that the males use. And then the other thing about males is that men are physical beings, firstly. Secondly, they are sexual beings. Highly sexual. Just like females are, of course. So part of the initial mating strategy when they approach the beauty, part of it, and as part of the first step, that's how men are wired. You can debate it, you can question the relevancy and if it's supposed to be like that or not. But if you have a problem with it, ask God. We're not responsible for the biology. First, part of the first step when man identifies the beauty is to try and mate. But not for the purpose of reproduction, because they are sexual beings. So that's just how we are. We are animalistic beings by nature. See someone beautiful, you talk to them, already in your mind, on your body, you want to have the opportunity to mate with them. That's one thing about man. Understanding that strategy as men, we also have a responsibility to discipline ourselves to a point where we don't allow that to put us on the negative side of the mating strategy. So what I mean is, you can't just go around and mating with anything. It's bad. There's a whole lot of consequences of mating. So you need to find a way of not falling prey to those consequences. That's why an advice to a man would be, no, don't sleep with her until you know the type of person, if she's worthy of you to sleep with. You know what I mean? But biology in its core dictates that the first thing that a man would want to do after they engage with a female that they find attractive is to go for the sexual pursuit of things. That's just how men are. As I'm explaining it, I know for a fact that a female would want to disagree. Why would they want to disagree? Because they were looking at it from the lens of a female. To say, no, but that's not how it should be. There's a difference between how it should be and what is. I'm telling you what is. And then we can decide what it should be based on now what the man stands for, his principles, what he wants to achieve, and all those things. But now I'm just telling you what is. That's the man's mating strategy at its core.
Even in that scenario, when they have a woman who is respectful, who does submit, and all of those lovely things that you just said, they will still go out and cheat with the, no, but that's not valuing a woman.
Cool. You want a respectful woman. We call them what? Wife material, submissive, shows the ability to take care of a home. Those are the faculties that are attractive to men when they engage with a woman. But those are the things that you look out for after the woman has passed the first step, right? The first step, okay, cool, she's beautiful, can have a conversation with her, we can talk, we can engage. If we've reached the sexual point, now we have a responsibility to see if it's worth it to go to the next level. And that's on the man to be able to judge that. If a female doesn't pass the first stage, whether you slept with a man or not, if you don't pass the first stage, then the man is going to get rid of you. Because what's the point of engaging further if you're not the type of woman that I see myself being with long term? See, that's the male dating strategy that a lot of females don't want to accept and they would reject. It's understandable why. That's because they're looking at it from a female point of view. They're looking at it from a view of their mating strategy. And by doing that, there will be a lot of misunderstanding.
You cannot say that you value a woman because she respects you, she submits and all of these things, yet turn around and cheat on what you say you value. I think when you value something, you treat it with respect, you treat it with love.
Diet?
What kind of a diet?
Food diet.
I intermittent fast every now and then. I don't really.
He's talking about a diet. I think he's just trying to joke around there with an analogy. You cannot have someone that respects you and is the type of woman that you desire and you want to see yourself long term with and still cheat on them. When you cheat on them, it means you don't respect them. That's her take. You cheat on them, it means you don't value them and you don't respect them. You see, that's the female way of looking things. Maybe that's a female dating strategy, which is a total opposite now of a men's mating strategy. Remember, a man's mating strategy, when it comes to the sexual component, is immaterial of whether you are a good woman or not. That's why I made a point that the first mating strategy is, this woman is attractive, I get with her, I'm able to have access to her. But part of having access also mean that we might be able to engage sexually without determining whether she's a good woman or not. So the sexual component that's the problem with the male's biology or mating strategy. The sexual component will always be at the forefront. So now, how do we work around that? That's when a man needs to learn discipline, strategies of how to suppress it, how to move around it, how to delay the sexual pursuit, what is it that you're going to do when you don't receive it? It all boils down to the man, because there are instances where you don't get it in the forefront, where now you have to wait a bit until maybe you know the female very well enough to see if you guys are healthy enough to engage sexually. That's all. That's a man's responsibility now to say, hey, I need to have discipline. He's going against his natural biological edge, and the problem is, what I'm saying people will disagree with because they don't want to accept that that's how a man is. Why? Because of a lot of teachings and information that has been put on us, to try and teach us other different ways of doing things for different sakes. I mean, for example, polygamy was outlawed at some stage by the people who conquered us for the sake of controlling us. They said 1 man, 1 woman. 1 man, 1 woman makes it easier for them to conquer the family, because if a man had many wives, it makes it hard for them to conquer the family, because now a man would have many heirs. You have a boy there in that land, a boy there in that land, and all of them will be heirs to the throne. So in such a setting, it will be very hard for me to colonize you. Thus, 1 woman, 1 man was the better way for them to control us economically. Now it means you have to go against your natural urges as a man to have multiple wives just so that you can fulfill that role. So that's another discussion for another day. But when a man has found the one and decide that, okay, I have the one, but I'm going to do something else, it has absolutely nothing to do with the female that she has chosen or he has chosen. Absolutely nothing to do with the female, but everything to do with the man's ability to express sexual discipline against his own biology. That a lot of people will say, no, that's a mess. That's not true. And it's men telling you that no, that's how a man's mating and sexual strategy is. It's purely sexual. Just like for females, it's purely sexual, but the strategies are different. Okay, let's listen further.
What do you mean by do I understand them?
Like, I need to lose weight, so I'm going on a diet.
Yes.
Salads.
I understand the concept of a diet. Yes.
Do you think those people, the off day they have a burger?
Oh my God.
Just respect the diet. No, I actually want to be fat. Fuck the salad and losing weight. I don't think like it's like, hey, I slipped. It's lack of discipline.
I just think that if you truly value what you say you value, you would be very cautious of doing anything that might jeopardize that.
Which is why men lie and they hide the cheating. Because it's not open. You love your mom's food, right? You love your mom. The day you
justify you don't. Justify you don't.
The food slaps. Right? You're not going to tell your mom, but you're going to be like, oh, dad.
Now justify you don't. Now justify you don't. Now justify you don't. So I don't think Panuel is justifying it. I think he's explaining it. He's explaining to her that this is what is. And she thinks, Panuel says, no, it's okay. That's not what he's saying. He's saying this is how things work according to a man's sexual strategy. And he doesn't want to take it. What's the point? What's the point of having a conversation and engaging with a person, explaining to them if they're not going to take it? And then he threw in the words, that's why men lie. If, let's say, we want to have a conversation and understand each other so that we have better relationships, why don't you try to understand the opposite side of that you engage in? Why don't you want to know why? Why don't you ask, but why? The reason you're opposing it is because you don't understand it. The reason you don't understand it is because you're not in that position. Now the question is, why don't you try to find out why instead of just blatantly rejecting it? And if you're going to blatantly reject it, why should a man continue to show you and explain to you that, listen, when these things happen, it's not you. It has everything to do with a man's sexual strategy and how they are able to discipline themselves and move in the right way so that they can be better men for the future. It's on them. So if it happens to you as a female, don't take it as, no, it's okay for you to leave. If a man cheats on you, it's okay to say, no, I don't want to be part of this, I'm leaving. It's okay. Because now you have established that this man that I'm engaging with doesn't have sexual discipline that he needs. But now if you're going to come and say, no, this man is cheating because I can't clonip. No, that's not the reason why. Because as men, and we talk about cheating and how to try and eliminate or try to not do it because we want to retain our families and make our wives happy, we never talk about the fact that we don't respect you. It has never been the reason. Yes, there are instances where the man doesn't respect the woman, we agree, but most times that's not the reason. The reason is because the man himself hasn't found a way to discipline himself enough to a point where he doesn't engage with such filth. Totally nothing to do with the females. I'm not justifying it. I'm explaining the strategy. But if I were to talk with this female, she would tell me, "Gutin, justify your daughter." And if I know that in the quest of us having this conversation because we're trying to resolve intersexual dynamics between females and males, in the quest for us to find common ground so that we don't, drift apart, but we come closer together. When I explain to you and you're not going to take my explanation, not justification, but explanation, when you're just going to blatantly reject it, what's the point of me explaining to you? Like, what's the point of even trying to explain it to you? Because you're just going to reject it and never care. It's like no one cares a man's point of view when they try to explain all the social ills that come from the male side.
That doesn't mean you don't value your mom. Anyways, that was my argument. I'm not defending cheating. I'm just trying to explain that
I am not sure about that argument.
Men who cheat are not directly undermining and undervaluing their woman. It's their own lack of discipline. It's almost most times when a man cheats, it has nothing to do with his partner and everything to do with his lack of discipline. Because guys generally cheat from opportunity and lack of discipline. That's it. Nothing to do with I lack something at home. You can have the best woman at home. I figure Rihanna, figure Beyonce, and she's like, oh my gosh,
You've put the thing at risk, Penuel. You've put it at risk. Therefore, you don't value it.
Lack of discipline.
No. Fine. It's lack of It's lack of discipline, but you do not value the woman that you say you value.
That's not true, though. You can't keep
your action.
She said, "Hi." Yes, it's lack of discipline, but the fact that you went ahead and exercised your lack of discipline, it means you don't value what you have. You don't value your woman. So if you lack discipline and then you value your woman, what's the best means of trying to protect that which you value? You don't have discipline. It ends there. You don't have discipline, and you need to find ways of being a disciplined person. that's just you. You don't have discipline. You haven't trained yourself. You haven't qualified to call yourself or to be called a man with discipline. Meaning, and discipline doesn't go into relationships only. There's other faculties as well where you can be ill-disciplined at. But understanding that you are a man of no discipline, what's the best way to exercise, to protect your relationship, to show that you value it? What's the best way? See, now this is where the lies come in. A man who respects his relationship and he values it, he knows he doesn't want to lose it, but he doesn't have discipline, he's not going to get discipline just like that. Which is one thing that females fail to understand, or other people fail, including men as well. You're not going to get discipline that's just like that. Discipline is not a decision. Discipline is a trained process after you make the decision. So what happens is you make the decision that I'm going to be disciplined. After you make that decision, now you need to train yourself. Outside of the female that you have at home, outside of your wife, outside of your kids, outside of your girlfriend if you have a girlfriend, outside of your family. Because discipline doesn't only entail you have discipline only towards your partner. It also extends to family, because when you cheat, you're also affecting your family as well, especially when you and the partner are married. There's kids. So the first step is, after making the decision, how do you train yourself to be disciplined? Now it's another process that you have to undergo of training yourself to be a disciplined man. Now that's where the sweet spot is. The training, the practice, daily habits, daily rituals. Where do you go? What do you do? How do you engage? What do you think when you see females? How do you stay away from such things? And then along as you train yourself and you practice to be a disciplined man, it starts becoming second nature to be disciplined. It doesn't fade you because you've trained yourself. So a man who hasn't found a way to be a disciplined individual, what they would normally do is, because they haven't found a way, they respect their woman, they respect their families, they end up lying because they haven't trained themselves to be disciplined. So just to protect them, because they value it, that's what they will do. They will lie. Lying is not the best course of action. If a man wants to have one woman, build with, and have a successful relationship, it's better for them to train themselves with the art of discipline before they even take on a partner. That would be the best course of action. Train yourself first. Make sure that the art of discipline is second nature before you can even take on your partner. Because if there's an agreement between you and your partner that monogamy is the way, then you have a responsibility to train yourself, be disciplined before you take the relationship to the next level. And that can make you qualify for the type of partner that you want to have. So when she says immediately when you go out, it means you don't value the woman. It has nothing to do with the woman. Everything is on the man, which is something that the females are not going to understand, or other people are not going to understand. It starts with the man, it ends with the man. It's all about the man. When my sister tells me that, no, this man, he cheated on me, I found him doing this with another woman, the first thing I would tell my sister is, it has nothing to do with you. Do not blame yourself. Until the man has came and told you that, listen, you are lacking in 1, 2, 3, then never ever think that there's anything wrong that you did that led that man to cheat. Never ever think like that. You must never dare entertain that thought process, because once you do that, it takes away from your self-esteem. You start feeling that you're not worthy enough, as much as you have been a great woman. But never ever think that it has nothing to do when that man went out and did whatever he did, unless he had told you that this is where I'm lacking. That's when you can entertain the thought that, okay, I might have done something wrong, therefore I'm not enough for him. But still, it doesn't justify the cheating. Nothing justifies. It's a man's decision. Everyone who cheats, even the females, when they cheat, is their decision. Has nothing to do with the other party.
Actions must say you value the relationship.
I'm not gonna get worked up, but I get sad
Shame.
listening to black women diagnose black men without listening to black men, just because they heard it from American sources or stats say, if the black man is telling you, babe, I love you, I'm not undervalued, what would make you say no? The guy is telling you. So where's your info coming from? Was there a black men's conference where they were like, hey, yeah, these women are right, we actually don't value them? Where does it come from?
My question would be, you've cheated, right? Let's say you're with a woman who is like, okay, one cheat and I'm out. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to have a conversation. I don't want your explanation. I don't care about your weaknesses. I don't care about your discipline. You've lost what you've said you valued.
That's correct.
Because you value what? Beauty in other women.
No,
you can't control
because I
yourself.
lack discipline. I value you. If it was whatever, I would have told you, hey, I'm going.
Why is it hard for black women to understand when black men tell them, listen, this is how we are, this is how we operate? Why is it so hard for us to sit next to each other? A black man says to a black woman, listen, this is how things are. Why is the natural instinct of a black woman to bash down a black man when a black man is trying to explain this is the position that we are in? Why? He makes a very good point. Where do you get, like, who inspired you to come back and never see a point of view of a black man? Like, where do you the source of negation, if I may put it, opposition, where do you get it from? Who told you that? Who told you that when a man says this, a black man says this to you, maybe a black man that's more likely to marry you in the near future, if he tells you this is how we operate, now abantu who are from maybe this society or whatever, when he tells you this is how we operate, where do you get the inspiration of the source of information that tends to want and oppose him? Because he's telling you his living experience, and the first thing you want to do is oppose him and tell him no. Where do you get that from? Who are your sources of information? Who inspired you? What was their intention when they taught you whatever they taught you? We're living in a social media age. Check the social media platforms and the people that relay the information to you. Understand, these people that I'm listening to who goes through relationship and they tell me when this black man does this, I'm going to disagree with him. But are you sure that those people have your interest at heart? Okay, let's say now it's not social media. Remove social media now and say the society that we live in. Because I think, that's the society. After social media would be the society that influences your way of thinking. Who? Look into your society. Who taught me the stuff that I know? Who inspired me to go out there and oppose a black man when he tells me how they think and how they operate? And remember, his purpose is for us to understand each other so that we can have better relationships. Okay, let's say there's no one in your society. Let's leave that aside. Now peel the layer back. Television stations, what did they feed you? What channels did you watch? At what time? What did they say? What was their intention? Who owns the channel? Profit margins. What are they selling? When did it start? Who's the owner? Is he a colonialist? Like, what is it all about? You need to, and then let's say television aside, family dynamics. Who raised me? What did they teach me? Why did they teach me? What was their intention? And how far am I according to their teachings? Did they teach you that when a black man sits down with you and explains how things are so that we find a way of, a way forward of solving this problem? Did they teach you that you must oppose them instantly? Okay, we spoke about the family aspect, right, as a form of influence. Now let's remove family. Let's peel it a layer back. Let's say there was no family. It's you now in the jungle, in the wilds. You were born and they threw you there. Who are you going to follow? Which ways of living are you going to follow? Who do you think will come and pollute you with a different way of life? Because remember, when you're all alone, without a society, without family, without anyone, the only thing that you rely on is your biology. Now the question that you need to ask yourself, that if there was the case, how, and that's free will, by the way. If there was the case, I have free will, I'm all alone in a jungle, what would my biology dictate that I do? So it starts there. Peel layers back, unpack, remove everything that has influenced the way that you think, and ask yourself, if I was all alone, living the life alone in a jungle, there's food, maybe you know how to hunt, you don't know how to hunt, there's no clothes, maybe there's clothes. What would your biology dictate that you do? What's your survival strategy? What influences are you going to have? What system of thought are you going to adopt? And then you can build from there. By doing that, you'll be able to understand that, okay, at some point in the evolution of me as a human being, there was a point where I was polluted with this information that I have, and this is the intention of a person who taught me whatever they taught me. Self-reflection is very crucial. If you can't do that, then you won't have answers to a whole lot of things. That's my belief. Let's check.
But literally I had to nyonyoba, and I deleted and I saved there as MTN. It was because I'm trying to.
Well, look at what Nyonyoba Ring has done.
Women lie to their children. For example,
a man who's disciplined doesn't need to nyonyoba and do all those things. He simply won't do them, and he has nothing to do with the woman. He's just disciplined.
Mom, how did you and Dad meet? How? You're not gonna be like, hey, your dad was pummeling me in the back of a car. Does this mean you don't value your kids? No, it's because it was a mukhlon pisa. The day your kids find out you lied, you were actually cheating on Dad when this happened, you get sad. But it's not like, well, it's because I never really valued you. It's because fuck your dad. It's not that.
Well, that's the undertone.
No, that's
unfortunately.
The undertone, you guys.
See, he made a very good analogy. She skipped that analogy to say, when I tell my kids that, no, this is how me and Dad met up, and you don't tell them the dirty stuff to protect them. She just skipped the fact that you're trying to protect them. She just went to the fact that Panuel mentioned the word disrespect, and she said, no, that's the undertone. So that whole analogy, she just skipped it and made it irrelevant because she refused to listen to a black man explaining to her a point of view of man. And I worry that we'll never be able to sit down and talk to each other. Remember, me saying this is not saying you should accept it. I'm saying listen, just know what's happening. Don't just reject it from the onset. Listen, understand what is happening on the other side, and then you can make your decisions from there. But don't just blatantly reject it without trying to follow through. Follow through, ask questions, ask all the other relevant people that you respect, and you'll be able to get the answers that are better.
Guys have created. But it's not true.
No, it is what it is.
That's it.
Whatever, man. High value. I don't know if you saw the clip.
Hey, it's sad. It's sad. He just gave it. He said, hey, whatever, man. Hey, whatever, man. And she said, it is what it is. If I were to have a conversation with a partner of mine and explain a situation that I'm going through as a man, because it's valuable to me and I really want her to understand what's happening. The reason I'm talking to her and I really want to understand is because I understand that there will be a benefit in us engaging in this specific subject. If she says whatever, man, whatever, then what's the point of ever talking to females? Like, what's the point? They say, hey, men must open up, share with us your feelings, tell us what's happening. Talk to who? A person who's gonna tell you whatever, man. It is what it is. Justify who thought. I'm here telling, bro, this is my reality. This is what I'm going through. This is the struggle that I have. So I need to find solutions, and this is how I'm working on the solution. Before I even get to the point where I try to explain to you how I'm not going to damage, you already rejected me. So what's the point of ever talking to females though? Like, really, what's the point? A lot of guys say, if you want solutions to your problems, talk to other men. That's what a lot of men are saying. If you want solutions to your problems, talk to other men, you'll get solutions. Talk to women, then it will be used against you in the future. So, I'm speaking as a man now, as a point of view of a man, using the logic of a man and reasoning of a man to put my point through. In another edition, I shall be able to listen to a woman speak, put myself in her position, understand how she thinks, understand her mating strategy, and see how we can make each other better during the process. But now, I'm just speaking from a point of view of a man to say, we are all on our own. No one listened to us. Only a few listen to us. And normally when they listen, they look for points where they could benefit from. Like, it's about them. And then if there's no benefit from them, you're left to dry on your own as a man. Let me check if there's anything here before I conclude. Okay, it's fine. Oh well, that's it for my rant on this edition of the Danny Bears Delicious. That's it for now, man. Yeah, that's my opinion. It is what it is. Hopefully we can engage further. I'm open to criticism. I'm open to learning. I'm always willing to learn. I talk to the elders. I seek advice all the time. Religious perspective, traditional perspective, all this perspective I do engage with so that I can understand. And I also try my best to express myself the best way possible. But I'm always open to learning until I die. Until the next time, when Mzansi get active, we get reactive. No DNA, just RSA. Thank you so much.